Wemby? Bismack? What can we play a game of buy or sell?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Friday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs and the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kings 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you're having a great TGIF and you made it through the work week. Congratulations. Subscribe right now. You guys are the everydayers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app right now. What are we talking about today? We're going to play a little game of buy and sell with players in the spotlight from Bismack. I know you're thinking like, what, Bismack? You'll see where I'm going with this. From Wemby, so many other questions we got. It's a fun game. A lot of Spurs fans definitely enjoyed the game of buy and sell. So we're going to have fun with our guest, first-time guest, introduce him in a few seconds. And then, so I recently went to UFC Noche, which is basically this big, MMA fight, if y'all are not familiar with the UFC, and it was hosted in San Antonio at the Frost Bank Center. And it got me to think, past or present, which past or present Spurs could be a good UFC fighter? And I bet I know who you have at the top of your list at number one, but he might be too easy. We'll see if our guest can come up with other names who have worn the silver and black and maybe can step into the octagon. Maybe with him, if he feels like coming out of retirement. Let's go and bring in our guest. He is San Antonio Sports Star's very own AJ Hoffman. You can follow him on X at AJ is the real. AJ, welcome to Locked On Spurs, your debut here at Los.
Thanks for having me, man.
Not a problem, man. It was good to kind of hang out with you this last weekend, at the UFC Noche. It was a fun night, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a great time, man. San Antonio put on a good fight. The crowd was wild. The fights were good. At least the late fights were. So it made for a good show.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I think Noche won the night versus the Canelo fight, right? I mean, seriously.
The boxing match was good, but it wasn't quite as exciting as what we had going here in San Antonio.
Absolutely. Again, he is with San Antonio Sports Star. We're going to be talking about all the shows on that station, 94.1. Make sure to go there every morning to listen to him, Rob Thompson, Pledger, Minix, Ryan Eggle. They're all the crews there. We're going to brag about the Star in just a few minutes. AJ, I know you got football in your mind, so let's rock and roll right now. So we like to play a game here of buy and sell at Locked On Spurs, where I picked a couple of topics here, and we're going to see if you're going to buy it or sell it. And it ranges from Bismack. And by the way, yes, AJ has no idea what I'm asking about Bismack, but you'll see where I'm going with this, everybody. There's a rhyme and reason why I picked Bismack to start, and so much more. In fact, AJ, we at the crew here at Locked On Spurs, we put time and effort into our graphics here. Look at that, baby. I mean, look at.
Oh, I like that. That's strong. I like that.
Jeez, the freaking 10-year-old could make that, man. So plain, so simple. We're going to play the game buy and sell. Don't let the graphics impress y'all, everybody. It took me like 2 seconds, everybody, to be honest. But let's go and dive right into this. So the Spurs recently brought in, I guess they re-signed Bismack Biyombo, another big to go with Wemby, Cornette, Olynyk, and you probably scratch your head like, Bismack? Okay, fine. I get the veteran presence, locker room presence, all that good stuff. We know he's not going to get a lot of burn. But this question was posed to me, AJ, on a recent Locked On Spurs regarding Bismack. Buy or sell that Bismack was brought on because maybe another quasi-big may not be a Spur, and that is Jeremy Sochan. Buy or sell that Bismack was brought in just in case they trade Sochan.
At this point, I'll sell just because it doesn't make sense to make that change at this point in the offseason. We're getting too close to the season for that to happen. But I really think Mac there's a little bit of fluff to it. I mean, I think that he gives you some big depth, but you mentioned the guys, Olynyk and Cornette. These are the guys who were brought in to play those minutes up really high. And I think the whole plan all along, and I think the decision came from Wemby not wanting to be a 5. And they're trying to take that off his plate, so they brought in a few guys to eat up those minutes. I don't think, I don't think Bismack's going to get any minutes, at the 4 or eat up any of those minutes, because I think we'll see a lot of wind there. And I still think they want to have Harris Barnes out on that board as much as possible, because he is really the only guy who can shoot a lick, at least that plays regularly. I'll go sell just because I don't think I haven't heard anything about having to trade Jeremy Cohen. And if they did, I assume would have already in the offseason.
Yeah, it was an interesting point that the previous guest brought up. And he's like, you know what, maybe think like maybe Bismack's brought in just an insurance policy because Sochan is technically in a contract year. As of the recording, he has not been offered that extension. So he technically could be on his way out. My gut feeling, AJ, is that they'll get the numbers, they'll get the contract done. I don't.
The thing about Sochan is he's a versatile player, and Bismack Biyombo is not versatile at all. Like he is one of the guys who you could like. This whole roster has a lot of positional flexibility. Bismack Biyombo is one of the few guys who has literally no positional flexibility. He can play one position. So it doesn't seem like a straight up insurance policy for him in particular. I just think they've seen this team have a lot of injury problems, and they're trying to make sure that they've got a backup plan for every situation that could come up.
Yeah. You know, say what you will about him, you know, the aged veteran of the league, you know, but he played pretty well last season in spot.
He did.
He had like 22 games, 22-ish games. He posted about several double-doubles. So he wasn't too bad. But again, all in all, yeah, I'm selling with you. I don't think that's the reason why it was brought on. It was just a very interesting question that I was asking. So I'm going to throw in the list here. You see where AJ feels about this, whether you're going to buy and sell. So yeah, we're selling that Bismack was brought on for an insurance policy in case a quasi-big Sochan gets dealt. Because, you know, we saw him last season, AJ. He played the 5. He played the 4. But you're right. He's just versatile. And I think Mitch Johnson last year, AJ, summed it up greatly when he said, Sochan's just a basketball player. I know that's cliche, but he's not wrong, though.
Yeah. The guy can play all over the floor, and the guys like that. And listen, man, this is a team that wants to play defense. They want to have a defensive identity. And beyond Wemby, there's a lot of guys who are iffy defensively. Sochan is one of the guys you can put out there, and you can count on him to give that effort on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's continue our game of buy and sell Spurs edition right here on Locked On Spurs. We're joined by AJ Hoffman. He is with San Antonio Sports Star. Make sure to follow him on X at AJ is the Real. And maybe in a few minutes, he'll share his MMA story with us. It's a great story, AJ. So just giving you a heads up. I might ask you that in a few minutes.
I'm always open to talking about it, man. It's many moons ago. As you can see, the gray in my beard doesn't allow me to play the game anymore.
All right, next buy sell question is buy or sell, Mr. Hoffman, that Wemby will be in contention for the NBA MVP award this upcoming season.
I'll fill that one too, and mostly because I'd love to see this guy play a full season of basketball before I started winning in the MVP. This is a guy who clearly has all the ceiling in the world. We've not seen that yet. Like right now, Wemby's not even the best player on his own team based on what he's done in the league so far. De'Aaron Fox is, as of now, the best player currently on the San Antonio Spurs. So with a coach like Mitch Johnson, who I'm not really sure what you expect out of, it's hard for me to project Wemby taking such a leap. I do think Defensive Player of the Year is certainly in the conversation. But right now, I don't think he's efficient enough on the offensive end, and I don't think the Spurs want to run everything through him enough, like the Nuggets do with Jokic or something like that, to make it where it's a real probability that he can be an MVP candidate. I think maybe in a few years, next year seems a little early for me.
All right, let me throw this wrench in there. What if he guides the Spurs team to a top 6 playoff spot? Does that show you something? He gets in the solid playoff, a Western Conference playoff.
Does he play 65, 70 games? I think that's part of the question. And, you know, how much of an impact are the young guys? Does Steph Castle take a step? Does De'Aaron Fox really kind of become the go-to scorer for this team? I think all those things are questions that we don't really know the answer to yet because we haven't seen how Mitch wants to play with his toys. And we haven't seen the scene enough with De'Aaron Fox to know, and that doesn't even include Dylan Harper, who's going to be added to the mix. Lots of questions, man. So it's hard for I know what Oklahoma City's going to do next year, and Denver's going to do next year. I know what their game plan is. Denver's game plan is to run everything through Joker. Oklahoma City's game plan is for Shea to have the ball in his hands and make things happen. Those are things I know. I don't know for certain what Wemby's role is, so it's really hard to project it he's going to go from what we've seen in the first 2 years, which is a good player, he's growing, and it clearly, like I said, has all the ceiling in the world. But for him to take that step, because right now it'd be a huge step to become the MVP. I think it's a progression with Wemby. I'd like to see Wemby become just a more consistent player. I'd like to see him stay healthy for a season, and then we can start having those conversations.
He is Mr. AJ Hoffman. He is on San Antonio Sports Star. You want to follow him on X at AJ is the real. You want to do that right now. If not, he may put you in some sort of MMA hold. You know, what do you think? What kind of hold would you give these guys if they don't follow you on X?
The toe hold. That's my favorite. I love to do heel hooks, toe holds, any leg locks. Those are fun.
Hey, we're not done having fun with this buy or sell game. When we get back, we're going to continue our game. And as well as, we're on the topic of MMA and UFC, which Spurs past or present could have been rocking the world in the cage? We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes.
If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about it, the last time you tried to fill up the so urgent. Maybe a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. Open Phone lets you manage your business calls and texts from a single app. Shared inbox feature is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. AI agent handles their after-hour calls, answers common questions, capture leads so you never miss a call. Open Phone is offering listeners right now 20% off their first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have an existing number with another service, Open Phone will port them over and no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Mr. AJ Hoffman. He is with San Antonio Sports Star. The Morning Huddle. You want to follow him on X at AJ is the real, 94.1 on your radio dial. Or just, you know what, just go to YouTube. I think that's what everybody does nowadays.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, just go to the Star YouTube and watch them there in the morning. He and Rob Thompson do a bang-up job to get you going every morning, catching you up on all things sports, not just Spurs. So we'll brag about the Star in just a few minutes. We're playing buy or sell right here on Locked On Spurs. AJ is our first-time guest, so we're giving him the buy or sell treatment with these awesome graphics that I spared no expense. AJ, look at that, buddy.
I don't know how much this could have cost you, but you're ready. I mean, the budget for this show is out of control.
I know. All right, before we go to our next question, the buy or sell question, I want to still talk about the Wemby thing, because personally, I think he will be talked about. I don't know if he'll be one of the finalists, but if he's coming back healthy and he plays at minimum 65 or more, he's got to do that at least to get the DPOY. Man, I think he'll be whispered in it, but the Spurs are going to have to make that leap.
It can't be play in. It got to be playoff. It got to be. They are locked in. They're not, fighting for a spot. Like you're one of the. You've taken this team from out of the playoffs to into the playoffs. I just don't. I mean, and that's the other thing. This is starting to be a pretty good roster. This is no longer Wemby and a bunch of the island of misfit toys. There's some real talent on this roster. If you can't lead this team to being a playoff team, you're not ready to be considered the most valuable player in the NBA.
Yeah, and I also think what may hurt Wemby in the MVP talk is if you mentioned his name earlier, if Castle just breaks out, and if he is, oh my goodness, maybe he is the guy for this roster. Maybe it's not.
Or Fox.
Or Fox, yeah, or Fox. In other words, there's only one basketball, and there's a lot of weapons surrounding Wemby. So, and he's been very vocal since entering the league that he is okay deferring to his teammates.
And the reason why Shea, who also has obviously some good teammates around him, the reason why he was able to be an MVP, because everything runs through him. He's the guy who's making the decision with the ball. That's not going to be Wemby's job. So it's tougher for a guy like that. There are a few teams that run their offense almost entirely through a big. Denver's a good example of one. And right now the Spurs don't seem like they're willing to do that yet.
Yeah, we shall see. And, don't get me wrong. I hope we're both wrong, and Wemby is wrecking shop on the court. But man, I mean, think about the bench too. Let's just project, just to have for funsies here, that you could possibly see Harper, Vassell, and Keldon and Olynyk coming off that bench, or Cornet, or both. That's a second unit.
It's wild this team, when I got here to San Antonio in, May of 2023 or 24, I guess it was. I've been here a little bit over a year now. The second best player on this team was Devin Vassell and Kelvin Johnson, and people were talking about, like, is Devin Vassell good enough to be the number 2 guy? And the answer is clearly no. Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson are nice pieces to have, but that was never going to be the guys that you could really just build around. Now that the Spurs have a bunch of guys that you can build a franchise around, and guys like Devin and Keldon are able to be what they're supposed to be, which is nice role players, and that's a luxury, man. It's wild, but just in a little over a year, the team has gone from being one of the least talented rosters to one of the deepest rosters, to where we're talking about, like you said, guys like Devin and Keldon fighting for minutes. Luke Cornett coming off the bench. This is a pretty good ball player. And Dylan Harper being able to draft that guy and not even knowing if he's going to jump right into the starting lineup. It's a real nice luxury to have.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though. Harper, you see on your screen, everybody, he's already behind the 8 ball already with that injury, so he's likely to miss all of training camp. Preseason games are kind of up in the air right now, but knowing the Spurs, they probably will hold him out for most of the preseason action. So he's going to really be behind the curve, but I have no issues with him catching on once he gets raring to go and he's cleared for full contact, and we shall see. All right, we're playing Buy or Sell Spurs Edition right here on Locked On Spurs. We're joined by AJ Hoffman. He's with San Antonio Sports Star, the Morning Huddle. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. And you know what, AJ, let's wrap it up here. Well, before we get into our fun segment here, buy or sell, AJ, that the San Antonio Spurs 3-guard lineup will not work.
Oh, I sell that. No, I do think that this is I think this has got to be a positive thing. This is the new NBA. Is a positionless league, and Spurs, what you want 5 good players for, guard, forwards, whatever. And like I said, most of the guys on this team are versatile enough to play a lot of positions. Particularly some of the guards that we're talking about, like a Castle, who I think is way more versatile than we've seen so far, does not have to have the ball in his hands. And then De'Aaron Fox running the 12, I think he's going to be an instant positive. So, no, I really like the idea that they have this, the sun, the center of their organization, it should be, and then to just surround him with the best possible players that you're going to get around him. And it just so happens that the guys you've been able to get in the last year and a half were guards, Castle, Fox, and Harper, and those are going to be the 3 best guys on this team. So I don't think they're wrong for doing this. I do think that when this team starts to click, it's going to be with those 3 guys all playing at the same time, probably.
Yeah, and I foresee, we already hit on it just a few seconds ago, that 3-guard lineup will be delayed because of the Harper injury.
Yeah.
So once he's returned and once they give him, because this is the Spurs pattern. It's whatever the doctors project, 2 weeks, they'll do 3 weeks. If they say he's cleared for 3 preseason games, they'll hold him for 2.
Well, and that's a luxury that they have now because they've got a lot of depth at that position where they didn't have that before, But, if this team was trying to compete a year ago, they would have tried to probably push him into action. And right now they're in a situation where they don't have to do that. So it's a really nice spot to be in for San Antonio.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 3-guard lineup, I think, will eventually work. But for me, even when we're talking about the 3-guard lineup here, AJ, my other sub question, this is 1A, and then the 1B would be, well, what if Harper is all that? What if he actually is projected to be that good and he's coming off the bench? Does he force this coaching staff to start him, or do they just, hold him out for his entire rookie season? And, no, young buck, you got to learn your lesson. You're off the bench for a full year.
I see that was the Popovich mindset, and I don't think that is the way that Mitch Johnson thinks. I know. I mean, think about last year. How often has a guy like Castle got as much run as a rookie than he did? It's just typically not been the way that Pop does things, particularly Castle being in a position where he's asked to play make and be a decision maker on the floor. It usually takes a while to earn Pop's trust. And as soon as Pop went out, one of the things I said on the show. I was like, it's obviously pop. Having his issue was terrible, but the guy who might benefit from this is Steph Castle, because Steph Castle is going to get the reign taken off of him that pop traditionally puts on young guys, and I think we're going to see a fast ascent for him, just because he's going to get those reps that a lot of young Spurs haven't gotten. I expect the same thing with Harper. I think if he is that dude, I think he is. If he shows that he's that dude, why keep him off the floor? If he's one of your best guys, put him on the floor, young or not. This is that's the modern NBA, man. You don't have these guys forever. You got to remember, and it's once you start to find a lot of superstars, it's really hard to keep the band together. And Wemby, you're going to get a big payday in the next couple of years, and then it's going to be even harder to keep it together. So you got to strike while the iron hot. Make sure you can take advantage of this thing while you got it going.
Absolutely. He is AJ Hoffman. He's with San Antonio Sports Star, the Morning Huddle. We'll talk about that and the rest of what the going and comings are going on over there at the San Antonio Sports Star. So we'll put a little close on this episode or this segment of Locked On Spurs Buyers. So I know everybody, that's just awesome graphics.
I mean, look at it. It's two different keyboards, clearly. Why wouldn't a gray one? I mean, no expense spared.
I even added with one side with the finger, one without.
No, it's great.
That's awesome. All right. When we get back, we're going to have a little fun here on our Friday. Kind of break the whole monotony, Project Marvel, soft season. We're going to have some fun. We're going to, AJ used to be an MMA fighter. Well, he'll tell you a little story about that in just a few minutes, but we're going to have some fun. What current or past Spurs would have, made some noise in the octagon? We're talking about that coming up right here on Locked On Spurs.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You'll love FanDuel because it's just fits everything you need. You can build a same-game parlay, do player props, jump into live action as the action unfolds. Make every moment more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. Quick, easy, the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. Cowboys have started their season. Texans are starting their season, so might as well jump on FanDuel right now. You ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
During the break, everybody, I was given a toe hold by AJ. Everybody, I'm recovering. Man,
I'm sorry. I just wanted you to know. I wanted you to feel it.
You definitely did. We are back right here on Locked On Spurs. We're joined by AJ Hoffman. He's with San Antonio Sports Star. Make sure to follow him on X at AJ is the real. If you want to talk about Spurs, NFL, MLB, whatever, hit him up on X there, and he'll chat with you regarding all things about sports as well as San Antonio Sports Star. All right, so for those of y'all who don't know, and I got to know AJ a little bit better a couple weekends ago, come to find out that he actually used to rock in the MMA world. He used to go in that octagon and grapple and wrestle and flip and all that good stuff, punch, all that stuff. We'll get to it in a bit, AJ, but you had an impressive record. It was 16-1. Is what
6-1, not 16-1. Yeah, 6-1 between my amateur and pro. Yeah, 6-1. So 16-1, I'd be a millionaire right now.
No, I bet you would. Yeah. You would not be on Locked On Spurs right now, or you would be, and you'll just send me a Cash App or something. It'd be Jeff, get yourself a real graphic. Get your go. Just get yourself a real graphic for buy or sell. But nevertheless, 6-1, not bad. But your one loss was very interesting. You want to tell everybody about that?
Yeah, my one loss, I tore my ACL, and about the first minute of my fight with my one loss, I had talked to my friend was refereeing the fight, and the guy I was fighting, my opponent had pulled out like 2 or 3 days before the fight, and they offered me another fight, but it was up a weight class. And I said, I'll just take it. No big deal. And the guy I was fighting was, I think, 4-0 with 4 knockouts. And everybody's saying, man, this guy hits really hard. He hits really hard. And I went and told the ref before I fought, I said, hey, man, I get in trouble. Just give me every chance to get out of this thing. And my ACL won't. And, the first couple of times he had hit me before my ACL went, I was like, oh, this guy doesn't hit that hard. And then when you're on the ground and your knee doesn't work and he starts hitting, I was like, oh my God, this guy is hitting me so hard. And I'm just looking at this referee thinking, are you going to stop this thing? And Gave me every chance to fight out of it. It just wasn't going to happen. So my one loss was a definitive loss. I took a good beat in that.
This was probably AJ in the octagon like this.
Exactly
that was probably AJ.
Where'd you get that audio?
Right. With that being said, everybody, you could tell AJ knows a thing about MMA, UFC world. And again, as y'all heard in the intro, AJ and I, we got to spend a little time a couple weekends ago here in San Antonio at Noche UFC. It was an incredible night. I mean, did you feel that electricity when Diego Lopez walked in? I mean,
oh man, when he walked in and then he finished the fight, like it was just an eruption. It was very fun to see. Very fun to see the crowd get so behind a guy. And I've seen both sides of it. You know, I was in Houston when Derek Lewis fought, and he filled the arena, and everyone was so pumped to see the hometown guy fight in the main event. And he got stopped in the first round. And it was like the air went out of a balloon in that place. It was just dead silent. This was the opposite. And not that Diego's the hometown guy, but clearly had the Mexican crowd in the palm of his hand. And there was a clear, you know, and both guys are Brazilian technically, but Diego Lopez has trained in Mexico for a long time. He speaks Spanish, really kind of embraced Mexican culture. And you saw those Mexican fans embrace him, and it was awesome to see him win. And just he gets up on the cage and starts raising his arms, and the crowd is just going crazy. It was a really fun moment.
I was in the media conference room after the main event, and the outside, the national media and the international media, and this was Univision Mexico, they all told me, they've never been to a UFC fight that was that loud. It was a good crowd.
It was a good crowd.
I was even told that people that were watching it on TV, that Cormier and the rest of that crew, they were yelling at each other because they couldn't communicate because that's how loud it was, the frost.
That's awesome. I get to the Spurs, this new building, and we get to have one in there.
That'd be great. But that being said, let's go to have some fun here. So got me thinking, all right, AJ's coming on, you know, we spent some time together, you know, UFC, MMA stuff. Who would be, past or present, some good fighters for the UFC from your silver and black? And can't we just get rid of the first one because it's very obvious who that would be? I'll just go ahead and say it, everybody. Tim Duncan. You know, we all know that after he retired from basketball, he dived into martial arts and the MMA world. He's been training in that since NBA retirement. There's been photos of him kicking, you know, and punching. There's a video of him at a UFC fight in San Antonio years ago where he's meeting the fighters and everything. So that was kind of obvious. No cheating. All right, everybody. All right. But who else could be in the mix? AJ, who else you got?
Current Spurs, the guy that I'd be interested in is a new guy, Carl O'Brien. A lot of I trained with a depth guy before. These guys are able to have a locked in level of focus, and I think it's really intriguing, and obviously he just got a good build for it. Guys who can really focus in on something, and you know, he's got a body that feels like it's built to fight. So he's the one guy that I'd be interested on the current roster. The older guys, well, there's one semi-recent, Charles Bassi, who he just built like he could knock down a wall. That one's interesting to me. But the first name that came to mind is Stephen Jackson, just because I've seen it. I know this guy can throw down. So count me in for Stephen Jackson is my favorite to make something happen.
Solid picks. All right, with the Tim Duncan went aside, that was obvious. Next on my list, I got the guy that actually has embraced just the combat sports world, and that is Mr. Keldon Johnson. Keldon, he's all about boxing. He's been all about MMA, UFC. He's crazy enough. He has that emotional thing on his shoulder there. You know, he's called the big body, you know, for a reason. I think he would excel in the octagon. And look at that, man. Hicks felt, doesn't he? Look at that.
He does. Looking strong, man.
Yeah. Actually, I heard that he modeled his physique after you, AJ.
That's exactly how I look with my shirt off. I don't like to brag.
Yeah, I figured.
Body by brisket.
Another guy I got on my list in the current roster is Jeremy Sochan.
He's another guy I gave some thought to. Yeah, he does seem like you know, like I said, he's just a really versatile athlete. He can do a lot of different things. I like guys like that. And usually the guys who who do martial arts are they excelled at some other sport growing up and just kind of took that athleticism and took it into a martial arts discipline.
Were you already at San Antonio when you did the judo flip on a player?
No.
Okay, man. Remind me to send you the video of that. Yeah, it looked like he was trained for that. He grabbed the guy by the scruff and literally did the hip move, everything, and flipped him on the.
Well, it should have been the easy answer, and that's kept the battles him to the ground.
Easy as it was Tim Duncan, just because it's been all over social media that he got into that world afterwards.
I think Tim Duncan might fail his post-fight drug test, though. That's always the problem.
That's true. There you go. Get AJ already. Now I got to think of a past Spurs. So I did a couple of current Spurs. So in the past, you know who I got? The big dog himself, Antoine Carr. Y'all remember him? He was just a beast. He was a big body on that court for the Spurs. He was given the nickname the Dog Pound, or the Dog, and for a reason. This guy was a brute. He definitely will be in the heavyweight class. AJ, he ain't in the middle of Wimbledon or featherweight. He will be in the heavyweight class. I think he can do it. But yeah, those are the three picks I got.
I don't know if you remember, Dennis Rodman was a pro wrestler at one point, so he might have some.
Good pick there. Yes, Dennis
WO
and NW. Didn't he team up with Karl Malone?
No, I think that he went against Karl Malone.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. All right. There's your fun little segment here on Locked On Spurs to close out the week on our Friday. AJ, we've been talking about the Star this whole time. We need you to brag about the San Antonio Spurs Star. Tell everybody how to go check you out, the guys out, from your co-host there, Thompson, to Ryan Eagle, Minix, Pledger, everybody. Tell us about it.
Yeah, man. The Morning Huddle is my show with Rob Thompson. We're on from 6 to 10 a.m. every morning. We talk about local sports. We talk about national sports. We talk about things that have absolutely nothing to do with sports. My goal is to make our show just sound like a couple dudes hanging out and talking. And you guys are, I welcome everybody to join that conversation. We, like you said, we're on YouTube. Go to San Antonio Sports Star YouTube. Find the Morning Huddle. We're live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 10. Hop on in and hang out with us. The Blitz comes on from 2 to 6 with Joe Reinagel and Jason Minix and James Pledger producing for them. They do a great job today as well. And of course, all the Cowboys games, all the Texas Rangers games, all the Texas A&M games. We got stuff popping over there all the time. But yeah, just a good spot. I think the best local sports going on the radio in San Antonio.
Absolutely. By the way, how's your cat doing?
My cat's all right. Yeah. Now I do have the stuffed cat at my office. That one's dead. He's not coming back. But my cat here at home, it's still hanging in there.
I remember one time I had gone to work early and I put you guys on the YouTube and I saw you on kind of slumped over the desk there and you just had the cat in your hand. I was like, what did I tune in? I'm like,
my favorite part about that is Rob got that cat off of Amazon, like a stuffed cat, and told everyone that he taxidermied my dead cat. And there were people who really believed it. It was like, that fits. And it's like, I mean, this is clearly a stuffed animal. But yeah, people took it and ran with it. So we just got, taxidermy.
Oh, you're awesome, man. That's so fun. Yeah, that was my first morning look into the Morning Huddle that day.
Well, something involved.
I was like, whoa, what's going on? You have a stuffed cat on the desk there. He is AJ Hoffman with San Antonio Sports Star. Again, follow him on X at AJ is the real. He has the MMA skills. Why would you want to mess with him? Just follow him ASAP. Do that right now. AJ, thank you for coming on Locked On Spurs, making your debut here on Los. We appreciate it. We really, really do. You have an open door, buddy. Come in anytime you want, especially during the upcoming Spurs season. I'll probably bug you, and you'll probably be like, "Oh God, Jeff, what do you want? Oh, Locked On again." Yeah, that's what you. That's how it's gonna.
No, that's during football game. That's all I ask.
All right, then. Fair enough. All right, everybody else. So thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available where we get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kids, Plus app, YouTube. We'll be back next week as the Spurs offseason is closing up. We'll get you through the last few days of the doldrums of the NBA offseason. Don't forget to follow us on on YouTube at Locked On Spurs and subscribe ASAP. Be the everydayers that you are. So for AJ Hoffman, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.